What's up, everyone? My name is Sal Cincotta, and we are starting something new called The Breakdown. What does that mean? I don't know. We're going to break it down for you. All right, so all kidding aside, what we're going to do every week is show you how we created some of our most iconic images. We get tons of requests all the time when I post an image. Oh my God, how'd you do that? Was it magic? Was it Photoshop? Sometimes a little bit of both. Sometimes it was voodoo magic. Sometimes it was Photoshop. Sometimes I don't even know what I do myself. So what we're going to do, we'll break it down for me. So I can learn what the hell I'm doing. I'm just kidding. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the final images that you've already seen. We'll kind of take a look at it. And then I'm going to show you the behind the scenes pictures, what was in my head, how we did it, where we put the light, what we had to do in post-production so that you can really get a sense of what goes into a final image. You know, here's what I want you guys to realize. Unless you're a photojournalist today, it's very rare that the final image is untouched. It just is. That's the reality of the situation. It doesn't matter if we're talking about magazines, if we're talking about, you know, even Hollywood movies, right? They're blue screening things, green screening things, so that you can create as an artist what was in your head. And a little bit of that goes into what we do as well. Now, my advice to most of you is to try and get it as perfect as possible in camera, because there are certain things that are going to be very difficult to fix in post-production, like an expression, hair across their face. Like, yeah, you can probably swap faces and things like that, but that's a lot more work than removing a wrapper from the background, right? So, you know, a piece of garbage from the background. So that's the kind of stuff you want to get right in camera. And I think as we get into this series, you'll appreciate it more. So I really do hope if you like this, be sure to subscribe to our channel, click the like button, turn on alerts and notifications so you get notified but when we got a new video. But let's get into this. So first image up, we are going to see here. Right, so this is, let's just kind of cycle through these. Okay. So beautiful set of images here that we have. Right, so here we are on a bus, right? So it's not very, you know, if you look at this image from behind the scenes, the bus is disgusting. I mean, this is at City Museum in St. Louis. It's disgusting. The seats are green, they're blue, the floor is green, the ceiling is green, the windows are going to be blown out. When she's standing up, there's no natural light that's going to hit her because the windows are about, you know, this high. So that natural light's not going upwards, right? It's coming down, so it's not there. So you have to create an alternate environment in a shot like this. And so if we go back to looking at these final images, you can see that we did a couple of things, right? There's kind of atmosphere in there, and literally that's what it's called, atmosphere. It's canned air. It's got canned fog called atmosphere. And, you know, so we got a shot there, we got a shot silhouette, and we've got a shot of her sitting on the seat, all in the same scene, all pretty much the same lighting setup. So what did we have to do in a shot like this, right? So if we look here, right, the first thing I did is we've got Profoto B10 on this, and it's got a red gel on it, right? So that's how we're lighting up the back of that shot. So that's not a post-production thing. That is absolutely what was in camera. And so we wanted to change the color tone of this ugly scene. And so all I did here was put it on a little nano stand. Right, so you can pick up, it's a Manfrotto nano stand. It'll sit real low, has to sit below my model, because you'll notice in all these shots, you don't see a hot spot. You don't see a giant red light. You just see it in the environment. That's by design. I'm using her body to block that light. And so then I've got my team, right? So here is the canned air that we're spraying here. So this is atmosphere, it's called. We had to keep spraying it. By the way, so this wasn't just like once and it sits there. I'd spray it once and then it would last for maybe 2 or 3 shots, go back in, spray it again, go back in. Now, you know, it's like everything else. Your use, you know, your mileage may vary. With something like this, it just depends on, you know, is the air heavy? Is it going to hang out up top? Is it going to fall fast? Is it windy? Is the wind clearing it out of there? So for this, we got about 2 or 3 shots, had to recycle, do it again. You'll also notice here that my assistant is holding the light bare bulb in that, and you're not going to see that in the final shot, and we'll talk about that as well. And then, of course, I'm down here at a lower level. That was by design. I wanted to have her more of a power pose, and you'll see this in a minute. I'm using a Canon 5D Mark IV on this with a 11-24 lens. So I want it to be wide. So of course my assistant is going to end up getting into this shot, and we've got to edit her out in post-production. So let's go back to that shot where she's there. So this is the shot that we're looking at right now. So this is the atmosphere you're seeing in there. That red gel is changing the color of everything in the shot. So we've got, but notice her body is blocking the strobe. That's why we don't see a giant red hot spot. This is a detail you have to pay attention to in the field. The atmosphere here is there so that we just give it a little more texture. So originally I took the shot and there was no atmosphere, and believe it or not, it just didn't look the same. It just looked very flat. There was still too much detail in the background, and I really needed that to be kind of obscured, and we used atmosphere for that. Now, of course, my assistant who sprayed the atmosphere, he's out of the shot. He wasn't there when he took it. But my assistant holding the B1, she's right here, right? Because I got an 11-24, and that's how we're lighting her face. So we are firing that strobe into her face at a controlled power. It was dialed down just enough to illuminate her face and legs, but not overpower the red light that's in the background. So how did we get her out of this shot? Well, it's interesting because if you look at this, there's a technique I use, right? I'm not rebuilding this. I'm not flipping the bus to either side in Photoshop. It's called using a plate shot. And so what you do here with this is you take 2 frames. You take 1 frame with your assistant lighting her up. Then you tell your assistant to get out. You don't move. You just stay there like this. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, pop. You don't move. Here we go. 1, 2, pop. Okay, everybody out. Not the model. The model stays there because she's your focus point. Pop. So now that second shot in post-production, we just merge the 2, and then we just replace one image. One side of the image we replace from here over with the shot without my assistant in it. And it's that simple to do. Now, something else worth keeping in mind, once I did that test shot, that's when I discovered this shot. So this is what I'm talking about. This is the shot without my assistant in it. Now, of course, this one's vertical, but when I did it on the test shot, this is when I was like, oh shit, this is awesome looking, right? It's got this like gothic Batman, you know, you see the outside, she's in a bus, it's a superhero pose. So this particular shot, if we're being honest with one another, and you know, it's just us here talking to one another, this was a happy accident. And so I'm okay with this. Once I saw this from a test shot perspective, I'm like, okay, now we got to perfect this. Now, here's where we want to break this image down. I didn't have to edit any assistants out, right? But I do, if we zoom in here, have to pay attention to details. Well, what are those details? Let's change the color of the brush here. Let's go to blue. So what are the details I'm having to deal with? Check out her arms here. That wasn't an accident. That is me telling the model to get some separation from her arms. Just subtle. Why? Because if not, this gets all blocked up and then it just looks black. And if we do this, look what this would look like if we just paint that out. If she got no separation. Do you see the difference in that shot? I'm glad we're doing this. I've actually never done this before. If you see this now, I painted that. Look at the difference between that and that as we're turning it on and off. That separation makes all the difference in an image like this. Now, mind you, the same thing happens here with her head. If she's looking straight on, it's just a blob. There's no definition to her face. So I intentionally had her turn her face to the side so that we can get her neck, her nose, her mouth, her lips for the rest of that image. That is not an accident. So of course, the happy accident was seeing what she looked like silhouetted. And then it's about perfecting the shot, slowing down and getting that, you know, to look the way you want. If we zoom back out on that, that's a beautiful silhouette there. Very, very gothic superhero, right? And let's look at the last image here. So same difference, same technique here. What we did for this one is my assistant's over here. I didn't have to edit her out. Let's change that brush. I didn't have to edit her out. She's off here to the side, I suppose. So I didn't have to edit her out, but the light direction, you know, is coming in this way. So we're creating some broad light on her face here and on her legs. So there's fall off, right? So we see all the detail there if you pay attention. And if you look at the shadow, that's usually the telltale sign here. Get rid of this, sorry. Create a layer. That's usually the telltale sign. So if we zoom in here on her hand, you can see the light, while not directly parallel to her, it's just a little bit shifted this way. That's what's creating that shadow there that you're seeing. So that'll always kind of tell you where the light is. And I think that's important as you're learning to know where that light is. But let's look at a couple of things now. First of all, where's the red light here, right? Well, you notice it's not in the center anymore, because that would be giving a hot spot right into the lens, not what I wanted. So we just shifted that red light left, and once again used her body to block the light. Okay, great, great, great. Now some things to focus on here. Notice how we created separation of her arm, just a little, it's subtle, and moved her hand back here so that some light was hitting it and we could softly see that hand in the background. Look, these are the things that if you want to make a better photograph, as you get better and better, it's the details that matter, right? It's not like my school bus looks any different than your school bus, or my model is better than your model. It's really about those details. Notice we brought her hand forward to get some light on it, and then we've got her legs so that we can see both feet here in the frame. So all her body parts are visible in the frame, versus that kind of like, you know, when somebody's got that hand and it's like, where'd the hand go? It just doesn't look right. Again, it's the little details that matter. And then we had her, you know, completely profile here looking to the side. So guys, I hope you enjoy that and see kind of behind the magic. If you do, please do subscribe to our channel, help us grow it, share the love here, give us a like, shout out to us down in the comments. But if you like this, let me know and I'll keep doing it for you. We got a lot of iconic images that people want to know the behind the scenes. And as you can see, it's not always complicated. It's just paying attention to details. And sometimes it's just about getting that happy accident. We'll see you next time.